According to Webster's dictionary, empathy is the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another of either the past or present without having the feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated in an objectively explicit manner. Also the capacity for this. Empathy requires that we understand how people feel, and to do this, we need to imagine, and that requires us to ask questions and build a connection with that person. Harper Lee, in her novel To Kill a Mockingbird, wrote, "You never really understand another person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it." Neuropsychologist Simon Baron-Cohen created Reading the Mind in the Eyes test, in which you are shown 36 pairs of eyes and have to choose one of 4 words that best describe what each person is feeling or thinking, such as jealous, arrogant, panicked, or hateful. The average score of around 26 suggests that the majority of people are good at visually reading others' emotions. One study showed that psychotherapy clients believed that empathy from their psychotherapist benefited their psychotherapy sessions. The clients listed they had greater levels of trust between the client and therapist, a greater level of self-understanding for the client, and higher levels of feeling happy and secure. Another study examined the amount of empathy therapists demonstrated from client to client, with all clients seeking therapy for problem drinking. This study found that when therapists demonstrated more empathy than they usually did, the client was less likely to be drinking by the end of treatment, and when therapists demonstrated less empathy than they usually did, the client was more likely to be drinking by the end of treatment. This shows that treatment outcomes can depend on the level of empathy shown by the therapist, even with the same therapist treating the same issue. Some studies have even shown that low levels of therapist empathy may not only fail to reduce problem drinking, but can increase levels of problem drinking in the client. Carl Rogers said, "Accurate empathic understanding means that the therapist is completely at home in the universe of the patient. It is a moment-to-moment sensitivity that is in the here and now, the immediate present. It is a sensing of the client's inner world of private personal meaning as if it were the therapist's own, but without ever losing the as if quality. Accurate sensitivity to the client's being is of primary value in the movement-to-movement encounter of therapy. It is of limited use to the individual if the therapist only arrives at this insightful empathic understanding of the patient's experience as he drives home at night. Such a delayed empathy or insight may be of value if the therapist has a later chance to respond to the same thing, but its value would lie in formulating his empathic response to the patient's immediate living of their relationship. In counseling, empathy requires the therapist to accept and to support the client through any issues, concerns, problems she or he presents with. Empathy empowers the client. It shows you have a sense of their world, that they're not alone. Carl Rogers noted that the elements of empathy are: the therapist understands the client's feelings, the therapist's responses reflects the client's mood and the content of what has been said, the therapist's tone of voice conveys the ability to share the client's feelings. Therapists who use child-centered play therapy utilize empathy by matching facial expressions, physical movement, effect, vocal tone, and inflection and energy levels. The question is, how do we continue to increase our empathic abilities? One way is through loving kindness meditation. Loving kindness meditation helps us develop a compassionate attitude towards ourselves and others. LKM involves sending loving kindness firstly to ourselves and then to those around us, even those whom we have conflict with. The point of LKM is the repetition of specific sentences, which generate feelings of love kindness for the meditator. Love and kindness teaches us to adopt a calmer and kinder attitude. It encourages positive connections between our minds, ourselves, and others.